They help heal with smiles and compassion. Their positive attitudes can go a long way when patients and family members are under stress. They deliver hope and help shape patients' first impressions of a hospital. They work without pay in a variety of hospital settings, but they are critically important members of the healing team. Meet some of Brevard's best hospital volunteers. Even a stroke this past June hasn't stopped Betty Pitcock from volunteering at Health First Holmes Regional Medical Center. "I'm a rolling stone, I gather no moss," says the Melbourne resident. Fiercely independent, this past auxiliary president has provided more than 22,000 hours to the medical center, including working in patient discharge as courtesy cart driver and lobby greeter. As lead for the auxiliary's monthly fundraising, she helps raise money to provide scholarships for high school graduates pursuing a career in healthcare. "I've been very fortunate to have had very good health until recently," says Betty. "I've had a great run." Folks at Health First Palm Bay Hospital praise volunteer Wanda Lopez for her kind and gentle spirit. Lopez, who joined the auxiliary in 2010, is chair of the Patient Enhancement Team, the volunteers who help make a hospital stay more bearable with their kindness and concern. "I've been fortunate that I haven't had to go to hospital myself, but I know that patients can feel scared. I want to help them feel at ease," says Wanda. She certainly knows how to calm jangled nerves. Every Monday, she is at her post smiling, always cheerful. Lopez is warm and engaging, easily connecting with the patients and with her volunteer team. The staff at Palm Bay Hospital consider her a tremendous blessing. Any hospital in the country would love to claim Parish Medical Center's volunteer of many talents, Terry Deal, as its very own. Whether it be greeting patients at the cath lab, installing lifeline security devices at folks' homes, doing general clerical work, or putting away the mail for the entire hospital, Terry has devoted 40 hours a week every week for the past 3 years. His job at the cath lab calls for an abundance of empathy for the patients, and Deal doesn't mind rising before the birds to be at his post by 6:15 a.m. in the morning. For his part, Deal thinks he is getting the best of the bargain in his unpaid job. "There are a bunch of reasons I volunteer," says Deal. "We all like to help others, but I also like being part of a team. I enjoy and love the camaraderie." With Diana Klang, it's once a nurse, always a nurse. Klang, Sebastian River Medical Center's Volunteer of the Year, was a nurse during her working years. However, when she retired 12 years ago from a nursing job in New Hampshire, she had no intention of continuing in a hospital environment. But it seems the love of medicine was part of her genetic makeup. Her husband suggested she give hospital volunteering a try. It proved a perfect fit. "Whenever I walk down the hallways of the hospital, I just feel I'm at home," says the Sebastian resident. For 7 years, she's been one of Sebastian River's most valued helpers. Diana has been an outstanding volunteer who has provided great leadership, says Anthony Gabriel of the Hospital Volunteers Services Department. "Typically, engineers are organized and understand process," says Don Pankey, Vieira Hospital's Volunteer of the Year, whose career in quality and productivity improvement took him to Harris Corporation's plants all around the world. Now semi-retired, he enjoys the opportunity to give back to the community. 3 years ago, when fellow Harris engineer and last year's Vieira Hospital Volunteer of the Year, Phil Burrows, suggested he try volunteering at the hospital, Pankey agreed. "Before I became an engineer, I was a pre-med student, so I have a fondness for medicine," says Don. He tracks new volunteers, examines turnover rate, and, on the first Tuesday of the month, he helps with the orientation for new volunteers. "I'll also give them a tour of the hospital," he says. "This has been a lot of fun." Rose Marie Bagwell has had more than her share of tragedy in her life, but from her grief, she distilled a resolve to help others. The 2017 Volunteer of the Year from Wusthof Medical Center, Rockledge, Bagwell can be found every Friday morning at the hospital's ambulatory care center, where she checks in patients, keeping track that they're on track. "I make sure they are directed to the right department," says the Coker resident, who began volunteering at Wusthof in 2010, a year after her husband Dr. William Bagwell passed away. In 2001, Bagwell's daughter, Tracy Lynn Bagwell, who worked for the Department of Children and Families, was murdered by a co-worker. She was just 35 and a single mom working 3 jobs to help her 17-year-old daughter, says Bagwell. Bagwell did not want Tracy to be forgotten, so she created the Tracy Bagwell Foundation to benefit the Children's Home Society. Tracy always wanted to help the kids, she says. Andy Jones, Wusthof Medical Center Melbourne's Volunteer of the Year, knows all too well what patients feel when they approach a hospital setting. Part of the reason I decided to volunteer at Wusthof is the number of times I have personally been in the hospital, says the West Melbourne resident. Serious heart issues have made Jones an expert in the range of emotions patients feel when in the hospital. It has been a very difficult recovery for me, so I know what some of them are going through, he says. You will many times find Jones at the front lines, either on floor 2 or 3, greeting patients and providing water and snacks for them, and replenishing supplies for the nursing staff. In some cases, patients just want someone to talk to, says Andy. I see my volunteer work as a goodwill effort to make patients feel better. After his retirement, friends suggested to David Kerr that he become a volunteer at Health First Cape Canaveral Hospital. They gave me good advice because I'm here right where I ought to be, says Kerr. At the age of 80, he suffered a broken hip that required surgery, an injury that most seniors never recover from properly, and through sheer will, David came back stronger than ever to continue serving others as a volunteer. A hospital volunteer since February of 2008, David has given more than 4,500 hours of his life to the hospital, currently serving as chair of the Medical Plaza Desk, providing leadership to 25-plus fellow volunteers and positive connections to patients, visitors, and staff alike. After a hard day's work, he can be very tired, but that's fine with him. It's a good tired, says Kerr. 2017 Central Florida Humanitarians, our hospital volunteers.